All right, and now I'd like to introduce Dawn. So the topic for her talk tonight is creating a fully educated, equitable, and engaged community where everyone has access to lifelong learning, which I just love. And I love, that that's the topic, and then that also you talk about how libraries help with the well-being of a society. So I think, both the first bullet and the last bullet really tie nicely together, and we're really excited to hear from you. Dawn has an extensive background in the nonprofit arena. Immigrant from England, moved to California in 2002, so is learning the ways of the surf, learning the ways of sun and surf in California, and we're glad that you're here. You worked in the Homeless Garden Project in Santa Cruz, and then worked as the executive director, or worked in the Library Foundation of Los Angeles, and then moved up to San Jose to work in the Library Foundation in 2018. So please join me in welcoming Dawn, and I will turn it over to you now, Dawn, and I will go on mute and
Well, thank you. That's such a lovely introduction. I really appreciated hearing the background of Rotary and the amazing projects that you're involved with. I absolutely will be looking at that March 24th. I'm going to have my stepson up with me, but I think if it's open to teenagers, then maybe it's something that we can both come and have a night of bingo. So without further ado, I am going to also share a screen and slide deck. So let's see. Okay, are you seeing the entire screen, or do you still see the thumbnails on the left?
Still the thumbnails.
Okay, let me try that again. How's that?
Perfect.
Excellent, thank you. I'm also running this new feature that I found in an effort to be more inclusive and more aware, is the real-time transcription that happens at the bottom. I think this is something you can probably turn off if it starts to annoy you, but I'm hoping that it will work out well for people. So thank you again for letting us come join. I'm very happy that two of our staff, Jody, who you've met, and Kendra, who was briefly on as well, were able to join me. Partly it's capacity building so that they get to meet fantastic people and organizations like yours, and also so that they will shortly be getting their own wings and flying and doing these presentations too. So I'm very happy that they were able to join us, and I'm sure some of the questions that you have are going to be more accurately, shall we say, answered by them, as they are closer to parts of the work than I am. So very happy that they're here with us. So here's a little bit about the San Jose Public Library itself. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of this, but just to clarify, the library is a city department. We at the Library Foundation are separate from the library, but of course, I think it's really important that you understand what a fantastic system we have here in San Jose, and it's grown in the last, 10 years, 14 years now, to the 25 branches that you see on the map here. The library itself is very much organized around its mission to enrich lives by fostering lifelong learning. And one of the things that surprises many people when they think of how they have nostalgia for libraries, maybe they went to them a lot as children and they haven't been back inside a library in the last 10, 20, 30 years, is to realize just how many people use them in today's society. And as you can see, there's definitely, 3/4 of the city's population have an active library card. And that's something that we're trying to increase and get in front of everybody who's a resident of the city. And of course, there's lots of people who are outside the city boundaries who come in and use the services too. In fact, for San Jose Public, you only need to have a California address to be able to get your own San Jose Public Library card and be able to check out any materials or use any of the electronic items too. So one of the things that the library is open to everybody. It's always been one of the entities in our society that has never done a card check. It's never stopped people at the door to say, who are you? Why do you think you're coming here? Are you sure you're in the right place? And that continues in modern times with very well adopted principles of equity, diversity, inclusion, and anti-racism. And perhaps more interestingly to you is that there is a specific LGBTQ plus committee which serves to advise the library, those who are making programming and collections decisions about what do we have inside the buildings, and ways to make it more safe for patrons to come in, but also for staff who work at the library as well. Make it more inclusive. So for example, one of the things that this committee has highlighted, shared with us, is that it's a myth to think that any book is better than no book when it comes to LGBTQ issues, and that how and which experiences we choose to have in the collections, share in the catalog, both as a primary focus for LGBTQ as like front and center in the novel or the nonfiction item, but also as part of just overall storytelling, as part of that normalizing process. And I'm really happy to be able to share that there are 17,000 unique titles that are related directly to LGBTQ concerns and topics, and that they've collectively been checked out nearly or approximately 230,000 times. And one of the other things that I've got a link in here, and again, if you're interested, happy to share this deck with you for afterwards. But we've got the programming quality standards in there, and they're specific to, you see the URL in there. And that gets back to making sure that all of the programs that the library offers has this centering of equity, diversity, inclusion, and anti-racism. And beyond the library is actually the lead organization, the lead department for all of the city departments. And so these quality standards have been adopted by City Council, and you should be able to see that influence on everything from what the police department does to what Parks and Rec does, and the library, and even the municipal services that have education programs. I also do want to point out that there is a specifically on the website for the library is sjpl.org/LGBTQ, very easy to remember, which has a whole slew of topics and resources and items that is specifically oriented towards this community. So now that's the library. So the Library Foundation, as I mentioned, is a separate 501c3. We are not city employees. Unfortunately, when it comes to the retirement and pension package, but we are separate. And we are celebrating our 35th anniversary in 2022. And would love to talk to you more about that. We're going to be having a big celebration in October, but also activities throughout the year. But in the last 35 years, what we've done to support the library has been everything from supporting ballot measures. As I mentioned when we saw the map, we were very much involved in getting the last ballot measure passed so that there was sufficient funding to increase, renovate, build new libraries to get us to the 25 we have now. I'm sure it's no surprise to you that the city is growing, and certain parts of the city which didn't used to be very population dense is definitely becoming now. And we are looking at whether it would make sense to go for a new bond in the next or the near future, near to mid-year future, to increase library service in some of these newly growing areas of the city. But in addition to supporting the bricks and mortar buildings, in the last 3 or 4 years, we've been spending a lot of attention and our time and efforts on raising monies from philanthropy to support programs, services, and activities that happen within the buildings themselves. And here's a snapshot of some of the different awards that we've won, so that you know, not only have we been around for 35 years, but we're also getting some notification or recognition of our practices, and that we are a reliable and trusted nonprofit in this day and age when there are so many nonprofits. So the library is fortunate to be supported by 3 different entities. I just want to take a moment to talk about them. As I mentioned, the library itself is a city department. And so you may be more familiar with the Friends of the Library. And these are essentially booster clubs for each of the branches, whereby they're the ones who run all those fantastic book sales that maybe you've donated books to, maybe you've gone and gathered some new gems to put onto your home library. And they are amazing groups of volunteers who care deeply about their local branch and how it serves their particular community. We also have the Library and Education Commission, and the library recently also took over management of the Youth Commission. And so this, as like all city commissions, is appointed by each council member. And so the Library and Education Commission is a body of 15 also volunteers from the public, 1 for each of the city districts, plus 5 at-large education seats. And then we at the Library Foundation straddle both of these entities. We work very closely with both of them in terms of advocacy and raising awareness. Unlike the Friends, we work at the city level. And so while we may fund programs that pilot at 1 or 2 branches, we are looking for ways that we can build the entire system to benefit everybody who is a resident of San Jose. And then this ties in with the EDI principles that I showed you earlier. But back in 2018, the library took to City Council and was duly adopted this education and digital literacy strategy. And what it is essentially a very robust strategic plan, both for the library, which is the lead entity, but also for the city. So each of these pillars now has associated quality programming standards associated with them, so that the city can engage in this continuous quality improvement cycle to make sure that all of the public dollars that are spent on education, lifelong education, are actually being put to good use and are providing services that are responsive to people who are living in our city. And so in addition to the 4 top level ones, which are more age oriented, underlying all of them is digital inclusion, which really got spotlit with COVID. If you weren't personally affected by this, I'm sure you were very aware of how San Jose, even being the heart of Silicon Valley, still has 10% of the population who are disconnected from home internet, from high-speed broadband, and from computing devices much beyond a smartphone when they are at home, which makes it incredibly difficult to do things like distance learning, or even like complete your homework assignment, or apply for a new job, or sign up for benefits, or do any of the things that I know I certainly take for granted. And so the library and the city has been putting a lot of effort into decreasing that gap and increasing digital inclusion, which means more than just giving people access, but means giving them the knowledge and the skills to be able to use the equipment too. And then underlying all of that is the very first education policy for the city, and making sure that not only did the City Council pass it, but that we have mechanisms to be able to hold them accountable and make sure that this policy is actually implemented in all of the different city departments. So this is a snapshot of what we at the Library Foundation raise monies to operate. And as you would expect, because we support the library and the library is open to all and is across the entire city and is for ages birth to old age. So the types of programs that we fundraise for and that we raise awareness for and we advocate for also span that incredible breadth and wealth of resources who are the people of San Jose. These programs do all fall underneath that education and digital literacy strategy that we just spoke about. And so I'm not going to go through each of them. I'm more than happy to talk about any of them that grab your attention or that you want to find out more about. But just to spotlight a couple of them. One is San Jose Learns, which we operate as the administrator of grant monies from the city that we then run a competitive grant cycle out to the school districts. They have the choice to hold programs in-house or partner with another nonprofit to provide out-of-school time education for children in grades kindergarten through 3rd, who are struggling academically and who come from low-income families, so that more of our children can graduate or leave 3rd grade, go into 4th grade, and be at grade level proficiency for reading, writing, math, and be at that crux of their development whereby they are no longer learning how to read, but they are reading to learn. And so very proud of that program that's put out, gosh, nearly $5 million over the last 4 years and has had some significant impact on the youngest residents among us. On the other hand, we also have Career Online High School, which also is an education program, but is oriented towards adult learners. So those who left high school without getting their diploma, they can come back, and after going through a really rigorous screening process, they get a free scholarship to be able to complete their high school diploma. And it is not a GED, it really is a diploma, so that they are able to continue with their education. They are able to get better jobs because they have a high school diploma. I'm sure you can imagine, even in a tight labor market, that the variety and types of jobs that are available to people who do not have a high school degree, high school diploma, are far fewer than those who do have one, not to mention the lifelong learning, the lifelong earnings once you have your high school diploma is in the 100,000 level. So looking to increase people's opportunity that way. So here are some beautiful photographs and a lovely quote from one of the participants. We have early education programs, just to go back to the education and digital literacy and those 4 pillars at the top there. And early education is obviously for those birth through approximately 5 years old. And it's to help these children be prepared to succeed in kindergarten. And it's also for the caregivers, the adults of these children, so that they do not feel so isolated. Caring for a young one, especially during COVID, can be incredibly isolating. And so this is a way that we are able, even over Zoom, to bring people together, to start forming community, to be able to build friendships, and to realize, you know, parenting is tough and you're never going to get it right all the time. And it's okay to struggle with this, because I think we all struggle with it. And then the other big swath is obviously K through 12 education. What you may not realize is only 20% of a child's time is spent in formalized education, which means that's 80% of the rest of their time where they are learning outside of the system. You know, they are learning from their family, their friends, what they see on TV, what kind of activities they get up to. And the library is arguably the single largest provider of out-of-school time education. There are a lot of fantastic nonprofits, fantastic other organizations that do education and clubs, and there's many of them. But we, as a single system, touch, the 270,000 children who are in K through 12th in San Jose. I'm not going to read out the quotes. You can see them, but it is a lot of helping children explore their curiosities. And one of the other benefits to libraries, in addition to the fact that they are in so many of the neighborhoods, they are easy to get to. If they're not within walking distance, they're in biking distance, and they're all on public transit lines. And we have the beauty of you being able to explore topics and subjects without fear of being graded or being tested on it, or people get so much test anxiety, and this goes away because you can just let me explore with doing electronics or with Arduino sets or with a new language, and if I fail, if I struggle, that's okay. Nobody's going to know. It's not going to affect my GPA, and I can find out, is this something that I like doing? And then, of course, the majority of library card holders are adults, because most of the people in the city are adults. And we also want to make sure that the library is a place for us too. And that's everything from people who are new immigrants to the country and looking to orient to life in America, those who are eligible to become citizenships. There's a robust citizenship program to help you prepare and walk you through that process, through those who are English as second or third or 15th language learners, being able to learn English well enough for them to feel comfortable in communicating and building their community here, to those who are entrepreneurs and want to set up a new business or perhaps grow their small business into a mid-sized one. We have an incredible workforce development swath of programs and resources and activities that are all free, all available. And I welcome you to come and explore that as well. In addition, there's a lot of fun things from learning a new language. Like maybe if you're going off to Mexico and your Spanish is rusty, you want to take advantage of the free resources that we have to learn Spanish, as well as the more traditional library programs such as book clubs and quilting and community conversations. So we can talk more about that as you're interested in it. So to turn now from the programs that we raise the monies for, to give you a quick sense of just how much money do we raise for these programs, do we raise for the library as a whole. I think I neglected to mention that San Jose Public Library as a system, obviously it serves the 10th largest city in the nation. And so it is a big and very well respected and well regarded system. It serves a lot of people. There are 675,000 people who have card holders, who are card holders. Obviously, not all of them come to programs every single year, but a large number of people do. And we want to make sure that the programs that are available are lively, they're responsive, and they're well funded. And so I'm very proud to say that the amount of money that the Library Foundation has been able to raise just keeps growing year over year, and to the point where we have beautiful alliteration that in our 35th anniversary this year, 2022, we have reached the milestone of raising $35 million. And so now our task is to figure out how are we going to raise the next 35 million, and can we do it in 5 years? That is the goal that we've set ourselves. And I hope it's something that you and the Rainbow Rotary broadly will want to partner with us to continue this amazing work in support of the library. And so here's our ask of you. We would love you to become involved with us. You can go to our website here, sign up for our email news list. We send out a monthly e-newsletter. And then if you follow us on social, you'll get, I think we send out maybe 2 or 3 different tags or different posts a week. And then if you can share what we do with your friends, with your neighbors, with your colleagues, with your dentist, with the person in the grocery line. Like, if you can help us spread word and awareness, not only of what the Library Foundation does and that we exist for people who want to be able to support their local branch, but also that the library has some amazing programs and it's all free and people really should take full advantage of it. And then finally, you know, if you're ever stuck on deciding, what do I get this gift for this person who's important to me? They have everything they possibly need. You know, you can always give the gift of the library, the gift of education, and we have some lovely tribute gifts that you will see on our website there too. So with that, this is all of our social handles. We would love to have you follow us and follow you back and start building this electronic communication. And I hope that this isn't the only time that I come and talk with you, and I hope this conversation continues. And so with that, thank you for listening to me. I would love to stop talking and listen to you and what you are interested in learning more about.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's such a wonderful presentation. I had no idea that the foundation did so much. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I knew we had quite a few libraries, but I had no idea that there was this foundation that was making sure everything keeps running and, you know, keep it funded and fighting for its existence of good work in the Valley. So I have a question. So one of the things that we do in Rotary is around vocation. And what that means is taking the skills that those of us who, you know, are in skilled areas. So for example, I do program management, I've done technical writing, you know, Renee knows all about radar. No. All kinds of things that we know. You know, so is there a way for us to partner with you in any of the vocational type programs? Do you ever look for volunteers for those programs? Just looking, you know, wondering if there's any synergy there with our group and your foundation.
Yeah, the library has a great volunteer program, and Jody is our primary connection with the library's volunteer services. So I'm going to pass that to her to talk about.
Okay.
Sure, yeah. So I think, you know, the library, as Don mentioned, it's vast. There's 25 different public library branches, and there's always year-round needs of volunteers. I believe right now they're all, if not all, predominantly virtual as we're navigating, you know, the pandemic and strain, but hoping that some of these opportunities will be in person soon. And so I know that at least the volunteer coordinator with the library says like the best way to see what opportunities are available is to sign up for their newsletter as well. And I can pop that in the chat because I think they send out a monthly one of just all ongoing volunteer opportunities, which could in fact fall under the vocational ones that you're asking about. But also on their website, they're constantly updating it with the opportunities that they're looking for. So that's also somewhere that you can find. I try to help in certain cases with doing like more group volunteer activities, or if not, like say if it was your Rotary Club and there you knew there was going to be 10 of you available to do this one type of volunteering, then you could always reach out to me personally and I could, you know, use my connection to talk to the library to say, okay, I have this group from the, you know, Rainbow Rotary, they want to do this, where can we plug them in? And I'm happy to get you connected to the right people.
That sounds great. Questions?
You said that anybody with a California ID can get a library card?
That's correct. You just need to have a California address.
Okay, so I don't live in San Jose, but I can get a San Jose library card.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that you can't do, though, is if you were to borrow a physical item from the San Jose Public Library, you couldn't drop it off at the Santa Clara County Library, for example.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't think so. Okay. I'm just curious.
No other questions?
Well, I just have a question about it's not new any longer, but the main library, I guess, do you call that the main library?
Yes.
You do. So I just barely remember. It was like a joint project, was it, with San Jose State?
Mm-hmm.
And what funding actually built that building?
So let me see. This is before my time. So what I understand, the building is about 16, 17 years old at this point. And I believe it was jointly funded with state monies because it is also, as you said, on the university campus, which is a state operation, and city funds, as it being the joint venture between the city library system and then the state university.
Okay. Is that a unique situation, or?
It was unique when it was built. Now it is merely rare. So there are a few other joint academic public libraries. My understanding is there's not one that is as large as the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Library is, though.
Thanks.
It is a beautiful space, and during the pandemic, we were able to renovate an area of the children's room, which is on the first floor in the lobby by the bank of elevators that go up to the other 8 floors. And it's a We Explore play space. So it's for babies through 5-year-olds. And it's just a wealth of different things that they can push and pull and climb under and crawl over, and full of different languages and different resources to help build those early child developmental stages in language acquisition and numbers and colors. And it's a beautiful thing. So go and take a look at that when you're next downtown.
Are library foundations also rare, or is that a pretty common thing in large cities that would have a foundation kind of backing up the library system?
So, yeah, you're right. It does tend to be the larger systems that have a professional library foundation that are large enough to be able to pay staff such as me, Jody, and Kendra to be able to do this work professionally. That being said, it's not exclusive, and there's definitely some library foundations who are joint with the Friends groups and so are run by volunteers still, or maybe just have enough money for a part-time professional paid staff person.
And you've raised an impressive amount of money. Yes. You know, I mean, I think about the small money that we're raising. Small, like a big deal, but I look at your budget sheet and quite impressive. So I'm sure you're out there often. Has it been hard during COVID, or do you feel like your supporters have been as supportive as they were before COVID hit?
Thank you for those kind words. Yeah, it's definitely something that working at the scale that we do definitely helps, right? I mean, we're supporting the entire city of 1 million people, and so, you know, the corporations and wealthy philanthropists should also be donating commensurate with that level. So during COVID, we were fortunate that our fundraising did maintain. We were the beneficiaries not only of a PPP loan that we were able to pay back, but also some of the American Rescue Protection Act funds came through us to benefit the library. And different companies were in a space to be able to be generous as well. Fortunately, the individuals, we have a variety of people who give us money, from a couple of dollars a year, and it's like, yes, this is truly meaningful to me, and was so grateful for them to value the library to the degree that they give us $5 a year. To people who have much deeper pockets and are able to give more. And individuals definitely stepped up, especially around the work that we did with digital inclusion and working with the school districts to make sure that children who all of a sudden had to learn from home had access to a hotspot and had access to a device, and they didn't have to share that device with their sibling or their parent who also needed it, but that there was enough to borrow through the library so that everybody who wanted one was able to get one.
That's amazing. Yeah, COVID definitely tested some systems in it.
Oh, man.
All right, any other questions? Well, again, Dawn, we really appreciate your time, and Kendra and Jody, it's good to meet you as well. And I hope we'll see the three of you at our International Women's Day bingo for future meetings. And just know that, you know, we support the work that you're doing, and let's keep in touch and look for ways to collaborate. Partner.
Fabulous. Thank you ever so much. And definitely, like, let's connect. We are going to be increasing some of the advocacy work that we're doing, and would love to have you stand with us. And of course, advocacy goes two ways. So we would love to support you too. Great.
So much.
Thank you.
So we do
Thank
have a
you.
little bit of business to cover. You're welcome to